Roll it. Still gonna send angry text messages.
Me too. I'm gonna also send some angry texts. I feel inspired
Same.
by Domonique's angry texts.
Are we sending the angry text to each other?
I
Surprise.
gotta delete this thing I sent to my mom if we're doing that. I messed up what this challenge was. Hello.
Hey, I like the sun shining on your face from one side. It's glorious.
It's definitely glorious and not a technical oversight.
No, it's beautiful. It feels like God is watching Debatable today.
My Lord and
the
Savior.
Cowboys' old stadium. Remember that, where they had like a little light in the middle of the field? And
That's right.
That's right. The whole is for God to watch, which is a lot better than, like, you remember the Falcons coach, was it Jerry Glanville used to leave a ticket at will call for Elvis Presley. Did you know that?
Oh, no.
Yep. There was always a ticket at will call because Elvis wasn't dead. He just was hiding. And what he needed to lure him out, the bait he needed to lure him out, was to watch the 1990s Falcons.
I thought we were going with that Jerry reference, but
we could have gone a bunch of different ways. Yeah,
you taught me something I didn't know. Alabaster, did you know any of that?
The only thing, I did, but I also knew that that's the joke you were loading up for, Pablo, and I was very thankful that Domonique had filibustered to the point that you weren't going to give that joke.
No longer useful.
You powered through.
Let's
talk some hoops.
All right.
Guys, Kevin Durant sprained his ankle in pregame warmups. We are unsure of the severity, but they think it could be a grade 2 sprain. He could miss the remainder of the regular season. How will it affect the Suns' title chances if he doesn't play again with his team until the playoffs?
So I believe, Domonique, that no one recovers from leg injuries better than Kevin Durant. Yeah. The problem is that I don't think anybody gets more leg injuries than Kevin Durant.
I mean, if there was somebody in the running for getting more leg injuries, Kevin Durant had overtaken them for the sheer absurdity of this particular leg injury.
Yes, describe it.
If you have not seen this, here it is. We can show it. It's not even a game.
It's a layup just in warm-ups.
That left ankle just
perpendicular.
It looks very painful. And I mean, he was able to come back from the previous knee injury and assimilate right into that team seemingly without a hitch.
Yes.
Presumably he'll be able to do that again, but I do think that there are some things about familiarity that would help to spend more time together, but it's not like they're going to spend a whole season or 2 seasons together. I don't know how different he's going to be. You could argue that the rest is, I guess he's been resting a lot this season because he had a bunch of injuries. So I don't know what the positive argument on this is. Just depressing. And I remember talking about this team and comparing them to other teams in the West. And I kind of discounted the Clippers in part because Kawhi gets injured a lot. And some jerk named Alabaster was like, KD gets injured a lot too. And I made a whole argument about how it's different. We did
do that. Yeah, it's fair to point out, as Alabaster may or may not have pointed out explicitly, that Kevin Durant has not played more than 55 games now in 4 straight seasons. And so the thing about him being the universal travel adapter who connects and powers any offense, and also being the guy who recovers better from lower body injuries than anybody else, all of that's great. But you just wonder in a real way, and I guess we should stop wondering, if he's just doomed to keep suffering stuff like this incredibly inconveniently from age 35, 36, 37, whenever he retires. From here on out, man, this is now it's now verging on like, oh, this is his mythology, is he's unable to stay healthy and be actually as good as he should be.
He's already far surpassed what we could have expected for a body that was built like that, playing the way that he played.
Absolutely.
Like, the concern was he couldn't, like, it wouldn't last for a couple of seasons. It's lasted for more than 10. It's been great. And the tough thing I think about these recent lower bodies injuries is they feel like flukish. Whereas it's like, it's not you can say the Achilles was connected to age, because like ligaments get a little bit more brittle as you get older. And that's normally an age injury. If you got friends that are my age, hopefully they've given up on basketball like me, because a friend of mine a couple weeks ago popped that thing because he thought he could still play basketball. And it happens. but like rolling your ankle on a warm-up layup, that just feels fluky. And like people falling on your legs, like that's stuff that happens to a lot of players. Most players miss time because of it. Some players, like LeBron James, can heal right through it, but even he seems like the injury bug has caught up to him.
Yeah, I just wonder about, and again, I say wonder because the human body is a glorious mystery. Shout out to our Lord and Savior. But it also is clearly for him a question of structural integrity. Like, I don't know enough about anyone's kinetic chain, but I just know that this stuff feels cumulative, Domonique. And so look, the NBA, beyond the pseudo medical science aspect of this, the NBA is wide open. And so we could be dealing with a story that is irrelevant by the second round of the postseason. Right. But the stakes here are worth saying. If the Suns don't make the finals this year, this deal looks terrible.
Yeah.
And this is the reason why, if you were a naysayer, it wasn't because of talent. It was because we're trading our depth, our young guys, our young, maybe not stars right now, but at least one of them, Mikal Bridges, looking like one. We were trading it for the guy who can't get on the floor reliably, which sucks.
Yeah, so the human body is not that mysterious. I apologize to your partners, Pablo, but I will say that I feel
popping
like
all sorts of things.
I have the big picture view when it comes to Kevin Durant, and one of the things there are two things that like exist in my mind when I think of Kevin Durant, and these are two things that should not be able to exist when you're talking about the same player, is that his career seems like an incredible Hall of Fame, great in the conversation amongst the all-time greats, but his career also feels a bit disappointing. It's a weird way to look at it, and I don't think it makes sense, and it's not something I would have said before this last injury, but it just feels like time after time, early in his career in OKC, he came up short, which is like the makings of the great story where you come up short and then you build it, and then he's not able to. He comes up short again in OKC against the Warriors and goes somewhere else, and then has the success in Golden State, but it still doesn't feel like he's reached a certain mountaintop. And then again, disappointment out in New York, where he gets this whole super team together and then it doesn't work out. And now he moves to Phoenix, where again, he has a super team that's definitely going to be a contender, if nothing else. And it seems like it's falling apart before it can even get going. It's just weird to have a player who is an all-time great first ballot Hall of Famer in the conversation for greatest scorers we've ever seen, whose career also feels like a letdown.
No, a bunch of what ifs. I mean, it's not just the infamous toe on the free throw line against the Bucks in Game 7, although that is part of it. But now, yes, it is him feeling like
that's a good story.
Oh,
do people read anymore? I don't know. Well, if people read, I would write this story or make you write it, but
I'm done. I mean, the human body is a mystery in the sense of why, like, my wrists don't write anymore. These fingers don't type. Alabaster.
You're doing it wrong if you're using your wrists. How do you just bang the keyboard?
Oh yeah. You don't. Well, this is gonna get real disgusting real quick if Alabaster does not jump in here.
Save us.
I got one quick question, which is that the West, while maybe not as strong in years past, is a deep conference, and we have a chance of the Suns having to play the Warriors, the Clippers, or the Mavericks in the first round. Those are all very distinct possibilities. He's Kevin Durant. We know that when he plays, he's going to be bleeping awesome, but we are also pushing the bounds of lack of team chemistry and continuity here. Would one of those series scare you if you are a Suns fan looking at that series and that matchup with a Durant that's played 3 games with the Suns?
Yes.
I guess the Mavs would be the scariest series because that's one team that you really can't, I think, reasonably lose to. The other two, I think a healthy Kevin Durant has a chance of losing to them. All of those are issues. And we talked about this a bunch before with the benefit of that the Warriors have in being together. There's some things that you don't need to communicate. NBA playoff games are a lot about adjustments, in-game adjustments. It's really easy to make those in-game adjustments with guys with whom you've made those adjustments years and years before previously. So it's going to be hard for them either way, whether he didn't roll his ankle or did roll his ankle. But it gets a little bit harder, I think, to have those adjustments in those communications that you would like to be 3 words that remind someone of a whole game plan from a year ago. They can't do that. They're going to have to go through the entire communication, which means it limits their flexibility in the course of a game or course of a series.
It's actually a testament. The biggest compliment we can pay to Kevin Durant is the fact that we are asking this question honestly. If this is any other player with this injury history, we're saying, sorry, Suns, your season's dead right now. And only because we believe he can plug and play unlike anybody else do we even entertain the idea that they could still make a run. And for that reason, yeah, I am out.
I think so. The adjustment thing is one thing, but I also think that he's kind of a one-man adjustment. And if he is capable, like he makes such good decisions, and it feels like you can't force him into a bad shot because the people who are guarding him are either smaller than him or not as athletic and coordinated as he is. So if you force him into a double team, then he makes the decision and the swing begins, and potentially it lands on, hopefully, Devin Booker or Chris Paul with the open shot. And if it doesn't land on them, then they're in trouble. So that's...
Yeah. DeAndre Ayton, remember that time you hated your job and wanted to leave? It's your time, buddy.
Yeah.
The thing I'm looking forward to is if big bro Kevin Durant is not there, Luka is going to torment Devin Booker if that series happens, and it's going to be hilarious how that all shakes out.
That's right.
Let's move on to an enigma wrapped in a mystery, wrapped in a conundrum. Aaron Rodgers. There's optimism he's going to end up in the Jets. The Jets are salivating for him. How good do you think the Jets will be if they do get Aaron Rodgers?
There are like 50 things that are very funny about this story. To answer your question first, though, I think they're like a top 5 team in the AFC. They have a top 5 defense by every metric, and now they're the most obviously like one quarterback away team in the NFL. And even if this is subprime Aaron Rodgers, Domonique, this feels like a team that's behind the Chiefs still, behind the Bengals still. I guess maybe you're like neck and neck with the Dolphins for the second best team in the AFC East. But by and large, and the Chargers, maybe they're like there in that zone, but that's a top 5 team. Just straight up.
Top 5 in the AFC is what you said, which sounds like a compliment until you start thinking about it. Because in football, like there are 7 teams that make the playoffs. There's traditionally only 6, but we've added a 7th recently. Saying you're top 5 in the AFC is not why you pay somebody $60 million and send presumably a ton of draft picks over. It's not to be top 5.
You're the Jets. In which case, your thirst for that superlative is unparalleled.
Even if you're the Jets, I think that you do, and it doesn't guarantee them their division. Doesn't guarantee them anything. I feel like we would feel a lot different if it
Buffalo.
They have to go against Buffalo, and Miami, depending on Tua, is good. I think we're at the point where we don't give the Patriots the benefit of the doubt anymore. The Belichick glow is worn off. We're past that with him and Mac Jones, so maybe they aren't competitive, but they could up and put together a game plan that could give you trouble. He's still probably the best defensive coach of all time. But I would say that if it were 2 years ago, I guess it just depends on what do you believe was a result of, or what do you think caused last year's slump? If you believe it was the broken hand or broken thumb, then yes, because you're getting back-to-back MVP Aaron Rodgers. If you believe it was the departure of Nathaniel Hackett, then yes, he's going to reunite with the great Nathaniel Hackett, and it'll be
finally
great. If you believe that it was because he didn't have a true number 1 receiver until late in the year, Garrett Wilson's a true number 1 receiver. So I feel like there are more reasons to have confidence in Aaron Rodgers getting there and this working out, with the exception of Aaron Rodgers is an unusual guy. And maybe there's something else that's going to happen. But I think there's one thing I do feel confident about with Aaron Rodgers is he's very aware of the way that he's talked about, and he does seem to respond to slights and public discussion. And we saw what happened when they went and drafted Jordan Love. He won back-to-back MVPs. So him being forced out of Green Bay and listening to everyone say that he's not the greatest or not amongst the greatest, I think you see a good version of Aaron Rodgers. So I'd be willing, as I do know how football works, and that from year to year, you can't promise teams will be good. So it's hard to project that they'll be good. But I'd be willing to say, you said he was 5. I'd say they'd be number 4.
Wow. See, speaking of the number 4, Domonique, I believe that when Aaron Rodgers left his 4-day itinerary in the total darkness room, because he left 2 days in, reportedly, he left 2 days in. I like to think that he realized that being the guy who was the most outspoken opponent of the pharmaceutical industry in pro sports was actually something he could trade in for being the star acquisition for the billionaire heir to Johnson & Johnson. I like to think that he was like, you know what? This is what my destiny truly is now. I need to be the biggest hypocrite on the thing I care the most about possible.
Can you be it didn't sound as crazy at the time, as crazy as everyone thought it was that Aaron Rodgers was going on a darkness retreat. I was like, no, it's not that crazy. The man's just trying to figure out things, explore his own psychology and whatever.
Yeah.
And then when you said he left 2 days early, like, yeah, that was a stupid idea to go in the first place. Because he right now is off work. He on summer vacation and he's a multi-millionaire. Why the would I go sit in a dark room? Like, I don't got no job and I got all the money and I'm single. Like, after 2 days, he was like, hey, I'm Aaron Rodgers. What am I doing sitting in a dark hole when I could be anywhere, like literally anywhere else in the world doing just about whatever I want to do? That seems like a sign of good sense. Get out of the darkness.
So to you, if you have your choice, and again, the price tags are what they are in reality, right? Like Aaron Rodgers is going to cost X and Lamar is going to cost what? X plus
Y? Mean, Lamar doesn't have to cost as much because Lamar is looking, Aaron Rodgers' deal is set and he's not trying to change that deal. I guess you could try to renegotiate it. I'm not sure how much cap relief you can actually get because my assumption is a lot of his money has been pushed to the back end of this contract and he's not going to give it up. Lamar Jackson, you can presumably put together a contract that gives you more cap relief and you can spread it out over the course of 5 years or so if you think that he's going to be your quarterback for 5 years, but you have to hope that the Ravens don't match it. And you already know what the compensation is. So, yeah, I think Lamar Jackson's future is much more promising than Aaron Rodgers' future. And you could even argue his present and again, this goes back to whether you think it was the broken thumb or not. I think you could point to the style of play as differences that you might take issue with. However, I think that a lot of this has to do with Greg Roman, and I'd be interested to see Lamar Jackson in a more pass-heavy offense. It's never going to be his most dangerous skill, but I think it's something that he can do better than he's done up until this point with the right weapons and the right scheme.
I just want them to get Lamar Jackson so that logically they would just fire Nathaniel Hackett and they're like, well, that didn't work.
Yeah. I mean, Nathaniel Hackett is bait. They just
absolutely.
They hired him in order to put him on a hook and hang him outside their facility and just put
outside fans of that dark room.
Just put fans all around him so they blow the scent of Hackett out in Aaron Rodgers' direction. Just
oh wait.
Is that?
Can you guys Photoshop one of those wildlife night cams where it's Aaron Rodgers in the sort of X-ray negative, wandering through the dark, sniffing for Nathaniel Hackett, who's in a bear trap? You guys have that production capacity.
Nice Kelly green colored bear trap.
That's right.
You guys ready to talk about Fred VanVleet? Are we at the Fred VanVleet point of it now that we're photoshopping bear traps?
You're the one that didn't put up the topics card. You're the one that wanted more. We gave you more, and now you seem disappointed.
No, I checked long ago.
You didn't check quick enough.
That's true. We got some sound for you here. What's your reaction to Fred VanVleet's comments
I love it.
about the refs?
I love it.
Let's listen.
I love it.
I don't mind. I'll take a fine. I don't really care. I thought, Ben Taylor was terrible tonight. I thought that on most nights, a couple of out of the 3, there's 1 or 2 that just the game up. And it's been like that a couple games in a row. Denver was tough, obviously. You come out tonight, you're competing pretty hard. The third quarter, I get a tech, change the whole dynamic of the game, change the whole flow of the game. And, most of the refs are trying hard. I like a lot of the refs are trying hard. They're pretty fair. They communicate well. and then you got the other ones who just want to be and just kind of the game up. Nobody's coming to see that.
Nope. Mm-hmm.
You know, true NBA fans, like the biggest, most hardcore ones, they know so much more about the refs than I do. Like, I know the names of like 2 refs. I'm generally facially remembering a bunch of others. But Ben Taylor versus Fred VanVleet. Well, look, Fred VanVleet has been hunted by Ben Taylor. 3 of his 8 technicals have come from him. They've met in 6 games. In 4 of them, he's gotten technicals, Domonique. So at this point, like, my suggestion, which would have otherwise been, be careful, like, you want to be diplomatic, the refs are going to get revenge on you. He's already like, what the else can he do? I'm already at rock bottom with this. Like, yeah, I'm going to start pointing that out so me, like, more casual relative observers can know what's up.
There is no way to criticize this. Like, from the beautiful sweater, I'm sorry that you're in a place where you still have to wear sweaters because it's March.
Necessary.
Time to let them arms out. But from the sweater all the way down to the word choice, everything, all the way down to him saying, no, not all the refs. Like, establishing his credibility in his fairness by saying, no, most of them are doing a good job, doing the best they can. But this one, I personally loved it. Not only was it entertaining, but I think it was effective. And I don't know what it's going to end up costing him, but he knew what he was purchasing. He was purchasing more attention on Ben Taylor. And I promise you, the next time that he's reffing one of their games or reffing anybody else's game, like, he's going to be more conscious of it because we are going to be watching it. I have not gone back and taken a look at all the texts because Fred suggests that the texts are not fair. They're kind of soft texts, and he has it out for him. But I think that what happens as a result of this, if he does not care about the money, which it seems like he does not, then what he's doing is going to be effective strategy to make sure that there's going to be an extra bit of scrutiny on the way that he is treated by all refs, but that one in particular. So once you're at your wit's end, why not drop some F-bombs?
Well, it is the ultimate.
He did.
Sir, let me begin to use all of the synonyms that must be bleeped on shows, even like this one, to describe you, because what he is doing is calling, I mean, it's one guy in specific, but what I would be worried about from the big picture perspective of the Raptors, who again have suffered under Scott Foster, giving a tech to Scotty Barnes in a 1-point game with 28 seconds left the game before this, what I'd be worried about is, like, how mobbed up are all of these refs, in the sense of, like, they're a brotherhood, man. Like, Ben Taylor may have caught the bullet and the other guys might have got off clean, but I don't know if they take it that way. It kind of feels like you go at one of us, you go to all of us. That would be my concern.
I mean, I get you, with the exception of the fact that he was like, no, not them other dudes. He made it clear, I like you guys. So they might just go ahead and sacrifice you. I don't know how much you know about the mob, but all that, like, I'll do some time for you, that's for the movies. They be snitching in real life. So I don't know if they are as mobbed up as you think. The real shocking thing of all this is, why are the Raptors not good? Like, I actually watched a great deal of that game and was shocked at how many, shocked at how many good players they had, and they still are, like, in Wizards territory.
They have like a half dozen switchable 6'8" athletes.
You remember a few years ago when people was trying to tell me Siakam was going to be like up there with everybody else, and like he's playing like it, I guess. Scotty Barnes is out there looking impressive. Fred VanVleet got a whole bunch of money. It's like they look like a team that should be good, but they aren't. So maybe is it just frustration? I don't know.
What was your philosophy with dealing with officials? Did you ever get, like, in one's face to the point where it became beef quality, like, conflict?
No, it never carried on. I mean, the in the league, the teams put some effort into telling you what official team you're gonna get. Like, the coaches will tell you, like, these guys are more aggressive on holding and blah blah. But I mean, it moves so fast. Maybe for a better player, it would factor into how you approach the game, but it never meant anything for me. I wasn't like, I can hold for 3 seconds here because, or like, I've got to be like, you just play the way you play. Like, I remember very bad calls. There was one against the Bengals, and Chad Johnson ran a post, and because I was terrified of getting beat deep, I beat him to the post by a couple yards. And I'm about to catch the interception, dives on the back of my legs, and it's just a blatant pass interference. I was furious. That's the most angry I ever remember being at a ref. It's like I just ran up to the ref and like swinging my hands and yelling. I didn't get a penalty.
Do you want to call him out now?
I don't know.
However many years later, do you want to go Ben Taylor on him?
I would definitely go Ben Taylor on that, but I don't remember his name. Yeah. Oh, we're getting dangerous territory. Good
I'm so excited for this one. All right, guys. So
this is magnificent too.
We need to specifically say we are taping this on Thursday afternoon. It is before the Warriors play the Grizzlies tonight. So if something happens tonight, we're covered. We taped this ahead of time. Are you here for Draymond going on his podcast and eviscerating Dillon Brooks?
Let's listen first.
This idiot said, I don't know what Draymond does out there. He said, I don't like Draymond at all. You don't know me. I just don't like Golden State. I quite frankly wouldn't like a team that beats me all the time either. I don't like anything to do with them. Quite frankly, you were a little kid in high school watching us win championships. Should be happy that you even witnessed that. Or maybe college, but you get the point. You're a fan. Draymond talks a lot. You talk a lot now, so if you have 4 rings, sure you talk a lot more.
Yeah, that hurts.
For All-Stars, you probably talk a bit more.
Ooh, you want to be
Defensive Player of the Year?
Ooh,
damn sure would talk more. 2 Olympic gold medals? You definitely would be talking because that would mean you beat
for your country.
And
damn,
we all know how
you're
that
Canadian.
Goes. So
you're not even
gets away with a lot too. What exactly do I get away with? I have 15 texts, 1 less than your dumb. Okay, great. His game is cool.
Down, dumb.
Wondered why the Memphis Grizzlies is not ready to compete for a championship. Look no further than this idiot right here. They're actually depending on this guy to help them win a championship. And he says his game is cool. Quite frankly, that just shows how little you know about basketball. And yet, you running around talking about a dynasty? The dynasty starts after you, not with you. He plays with heart, knows the ins and outs of the defense. I want to be quite frank, I made the ins and outs of our defense.
I built this.
Why they like him over there. I'm trying to figure out why they like you in Memphis. Or do they like you in Memphis? That's a better question. I'm not sure your teammates like you. Next time you speak up on me, I hope you're in a better situation than you in now, where the guys you play with actually enjoy playing with you because they actually think you're contributing to winning. Because it ain't happening right now, champ. You're not a champ. You're a clown. It ain't happening for you.
Like, that was bad. That was bad for Dillon Brooks.
That was rough. I mean, in the wake of the Chris Rock stand-up, it was pretty uncomfortable and mean. That was mean, but it didn't make me uncomfortable. Like I appreciate his comedy stylings a little more. Like it was sharp and smart and funny and perfect and accurate. Like it's fantastic. Draymond Green is multi-talented. And to be fair, yes, he ended up in a situation, and I think probably even he would agree that had he ended up somewhere else, his career would not have gone as well as it has.
Draymond, yeah.
Yeah, I think even Draymond would agree with that. But we living in the real. And right now, that man's going to the Hall of Fame. And thank God that he ended up where he was, because if he didn't, we wouldn't have this platform. And all the things that have happened in Draymond's life has led us to getting that 2 minutes of quality content. So thank you, universe, for letting Draymond loose on all of us.
You are going to get this podcast is a thing that man said. Wow. In the playoffs.
Well, it was the playoffs. It wasn't the finals. Yeah.
But the point is, Draymond Green smelling on Dillon Brooks, the desire of someone trying to be Draymond Green is the most unfair fight imaginable, because he knows that Dillon Brooks, on some level, by giving that big block quote about Draymond, is doing Draymond karaoke. And Draymond's like, oh, you like to play my songs? This is what it sounds like.
Oh, don't you dare try to cover a Draymond Green. Who was that? It was like Aretha Franklin or somebody was mad at somebody covering their songs. Oh well, I don't
beautiful
remember
gowns. Dillon Brooks has beautiful gowns. Yes,
it's incredible. And I think one thing I learned from all of that is Draymond is eminently more likable when he has someone who is Draymonding for him. Because when he's punching Jordan Poole in the face, it's not fun. It doesn't feel good.
Right.
When he's like punching LeBron James in the testicles, we don't champion that. When he's fighting people, or when he's throwing tantrums on the court because Jordan Poole won't pass him the ball and then causing a turnover, like none of that is fun. But when there is somebody who is potentially less likable than Draymond Green, and to be clear, I like Draymond, but I recognize that he has a lot of characteristics that could make him unlikable to a lot of reasonable people. But nobody can watch that and see what he did there and not appreciate the value that Draymond Green brings to content, let alone basketball.
I feel like Dillon Brooks' only move, and it is a sadder one, is to launch a podcast so that he can respond.
He can't do that. He can't.
I know he can't, but I feel like if I'm jumping into the mind of the guy doing Draymond karaoke, I'm just furious that I can't respond.
Your only move, you can't continue to challenge him in domains where he is comfortable and dominant. Because as soon as you launch a
it's like fighting a shark in the water.
Yeah, it's like, I'm gonna get my revenge. Let me dive in and fight Jaws with my fists. Like, once you do that, then you're just giving him more ammunition, because you will then have, I don't know, 5,000 downloads to Draymond's killing it, and then you're following him again. You must try to challenge him to a dance-off. You got to get him somewhere where he's uncomfortable. Get that shark out the water. Don't keep diving in after Draymond. You got to get him on land, because you don't stand a chance with Jaws in the open ocean.
Yeah,
you just got to fight him.
You got to challenge Draymond in a competition that Draymond would lose, like a not punching someone in the nuts contest.
We have a non-tech off. It's like, who can go the longest without getting attacked? That's a challenge.
I don't know if Dillon Brooks is the person for that competition, Pablo.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
The one thing that hits me now thinking about this is how desensitized we've become to like incendiary content.
Yes.
Because like,
so true.
This is the last block on this show. Can you imagine like 5 years ago if a future Hall of Famer was talking like that? Is it just because it's Draymond Green? But no, I don't feel like it. I think it's just with the proliferation of
it's content
everywhere and athletes talking so much. Like, we haven't even talked about how Travis Kelce should obviously quit football and become a comedic actor. He was incredible.
Charming.
Like,
I thought he was a second day pick when we were texting about Travis Kelce hosting SNL, and he was first day, no question. And but your point is so dead on, because not only is like on its own separate tack the NFL like catching up with the NBA in terms of just shit talk. We're seeing like all sorts of dudes tweeting, let alone podcasting, in a way that made me think like maybe the NBA is kind of in second place. And then this happened, and I was like, we could do a whole bracket, just a bracket of guys talking each other, and we should crown a winner at the end. Like, this is what this is.
Give the crew some more homework, like you like to do.
Oh yeah,
I would say that
64.
You could never, like, I don't know. I'm a grown up and I've been around things, and so like making me nervous is like hard to do with just words when I'm reading them. But I will say, AJ Brown's words made me nervous. when he was coming at Juju and he texted, "I'm about all the." Maybe it doesn't hit you that hard because I don't know. There's a perfect, for me at least, there's like a perfect level of like over the topness and like calmness when you feel that or hear that or see that in someone. You're like, nope, not that one. Because like somebody who's like, wow, like, man, I'm a dude, like, okay. And other people who are just like, don't mess with me. That's a little too low. But when you like, look, cut through all this, I'm about all the dumb.
When you are self-aware about the amount of dumb you are about, you are a terrifying person. You have opted into the dumb, and not only that, you are choosing to maximize the amount of dumb you're going to engage in. And I don't want to with that guy.
And he's also like built like a defensive end. He's
also
like
that.
He's enormous and strong. Maybe not a defensive end, like a 90s middle linebacker. They were big in the 90s.
They were. Again, the body.
I do know, though,
mystery.
if
Bigger
anyone,
sometimes, smaller others.
I know. I'm keeping it in my pocket. If somebody come at me with something, I'm going to calmly tell them, hey, I don't know what you about, but I'm about all the dumb. And that should end it right there. If it escalates from there, then I don't know what to say. I'm going to apologize and see if I can find Draymond Green.
Like, sir, can I clarify which dumb you're into? Are we talking like